Hi everyone, let's get back to basics a little bit. Let's gather our animals up and yoke them and hitch them to a cart. You can see one of the milestones that I really work towards is being able to gather my animals up, just using voice commands and the reinforcement of the whip. No leads, no halters. And you can see here's my off steer. That's Wayne, he was feeding. You see he's a little pudgy. And we're gonna bring him out using voice commands. And Garth is out there laying down in the sun. Now they're not too far away from where I'm going to yoke them. Generally, if they're far away, I will bring them up to one another and then walk them down as a team. But I'm going to put Wayne on the offside and stop him against the fence, and I'm going to go gather Garth and bring him up. And you'll see when I bring him up to the near side, I'm going to stop him before he gets to Wayne's head. So he's back a few feet, and we do that for a pretty good reason, which I'll explain in a second. Now you want them nice and parallel with each other. You want them to stop and stay calm and stand, and you really have to work towards that and build trust. So we're going to take the bows out, holes on the outside, take the off bow out and put the holes on the outside, and you'll see why we do that in a second. Now with the off steer forward and the near steer back, I can put the off neck of the yoke on the off steer, lift the near side up, and have the near steer walk under it. This is especially important to start early because as yokes get really heavy and animals get really tall, this is one of the better ways of doing it so you don't struggle. I see a lot of people struggle yoking up. So now because the holes were on the outside of that bow, we're just going to take it off the animal's neck and flip it right over, and the holes are on the correct side on the inside of the yoke. And we'll do the same thing on the off animal. Lift it up, flip it over, holes are on the correct side, and then we'll take their collars off, put the washers on, and pin the bows, and we're good to go from there.
Back, 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 Wayne. Back, all around, all around, all around, all around. Come up.
We're going to walk the animals right up to the cart. I want that off animal as close to the box or the wheel or axle of the cart as possible. And then I'm going to have that off animal step over the pole. And I use a special command. I say step over haw. And pivot right around. And where you stop, that pole ring should be right on top of the pole. You shouldn't have to jockey it around or back up, and go straight up and put it in the ring. You can see now that I'm using the chain to hitch. Some people use a T-pin, but I use a chain. We're going to get that nice and tight. That prevents sloppiness in the pole and in the cart. And then when we walk out, if our near animal's out, which he should be, we're going to give him a verbal command to step in or put in.
Garth, put in. Garth, put in. Garth, put in.
And you know your animals are very well responsive when they just do that on their own. And you don't have to reinforce it with a stick or the whip. So now we're going to do a little bit of sidestepping. That's one thing that I wanted to demonstrate. You can see that I use the commands put in and put out. And I use their name. And if you practice this enough, and a good place to start practicing is right on the cart, working individually, giving them an individual command to put in or step in one at a time. And you can see my off animal stepping in, and my near animal will step out. And sometimes I combine that with the command put in, put out haw, or put in, put out G. But really, when they know their name and they know the command, you'll see them start stepping individually. And you know you've done a good job when you don't have to reinforce it with the stick or the whip.
Garth, put out. Wayne, put in. Garth, put out. Wayne, put in. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Wayne, put in. Wayne, put in. Wayne, put, good boy. Stand. Good boys. Garth, put in. Wayne, put out. G. Garth.
And we're going to try a G turn sidestepping. This is less natural for the animals. Their tendency is going to want to follow you, so it's easier to do a haw turn or a haw sidestep. So this takes more practice, but the fundamentals are the same. And if you watch the animal's legs, when you know that they're responding well is when the front feet move basically the same pace as the rear feet. So the animal's rear end's not sticking out or putting in, and they're not pivoting with one front side or the rear side. Now we're coming back to where we're going to park the cart. I have it backed up against a fence. This is something to practice a lot and do precisely when you are practicing it. Bring the animals right up to where you want it parked, and then make a haw or G sidestep turn, really nice and tight. You can watch with this haw turn, you watch the near wheel of the cart, it should just pivot on a dime. And that's what we want to achieve. Again, sidestepping one step at a time, giving them nice crisp commands. When we get to a point where we're ready to back into whatever we're backing into, make sure that your animals are set in against the pole and nice and parallel. If their rear ends are sticking out, they're not going to back up straight. And you kind of have to control them as they back up. So I usually put my hand or the butt end of the stick on their sides, as you can see there, just to keep them put in. Because if they start moving in and out, then you won't be backing up straight. If at some point you need to adjust and sidestep a little one way or the other, just anticipate that, stop and sidestep, and then back them up the rest of the way.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Good boy. Good boy.
Put your near animal out and go between, unhitch them, again using the chain. Lift up on the pole, and I give them a command, step up,
Whoa, whoa.
so that the pole comes off the ring, and we just set that pole down. Now we want them to stand there as we're doing our work, so you always have to trust your animals and make sure that you're working with them enough to where you build that trust. Now I'm going to bring them back to where I unhitch them, or unyoke them, I should say. And this is always difficult. They want to get barn sour, which means they want to run back towards where they got unhitched or back towards the barn. And you have to be firm right here. These are nice animals. They're very well behaved. They listen very well. Still a little young. But even them, every time, they want to run back. If you let them do that, that's one of the bigger mistakes you can make, because they will take over for you as the teamster. They will do what they want to do. So if it takes one step at a time, and you can see here, they didn't listen to that last command. I told them to whoa, and they went right up to the fence. If they do that, back them up to where you wanted them and make them stand. Even if you have to make them stand for 3 or 4 minutes, if they're misbehaving, and start over and do it 10 times, they'll eventually get the idea, and they won't do it again. But this is a constant battle that you have to fight. But don't let them win that battle. Now we're going to unyoke them. And what I do is I unpin the near bow after I put their collars back on, lift it up off the bow, and have that near one back out under it. Again, as these animals get bigger and that yoke gets a lot heavier, you're going to really appreciate being able to do it this way, because you can hold right onto the yoke. It doesn't really weigh anything when it's on the off animal's neck. And then you can undo the off bow, tilt the yoke down, put the bow back in, and you're done.